ng drama, lahat ng tawanan, lahat ng iyong all-time hits. Ang tanging huntahan ng Masang Lamaw. Number 1 sa Mega Manila, nationwide pa. Broadcasting from TGON, TVH Group of Networks. Dito lang sa inyong iisang himpilan. Cool FM. You are listening to Cool FM. Live from Cool Studios. This is Cool News at 4.
Good afternoon and welcome to Cool News at 4. I'm Cairo. The Department of Education Teachers Union on Thursday called the government for the removal of the voting machine provider Smartmatic to ensure fair elections in the Philippines, citing past voting incidents from the provider. The teachers group urged the government to ensure that election systems are fully functional and secure. The union calls for the erasure of Smartmatic as the nation's poll service provider, ensuring that teachers can carry out their election duties effectively and securely, said DTU in a statement. DTU recalled the mishaps public teachers encountered during the 2022 elections, such as dysfunctional vote counting machines that caused delays among voters. Past experiences with Smartmatic's VCMs have raised significant concerns, particularly during the 2022 elections where over 1,800 machines malfunctioned, affecting approximately 1.1 million voters. These issues not only cause delays but also undermine public confidence in the electoral process, DTU added. The Commission on Elections COMELEC announced in May 2022 that the national and local elections in that year saw the fastest transmission of voting since the country shifted to automatic voting, despite reports of voters who waited for hours to cast their votes due to malfunctioning of the CVMs. Smartmatic was COMELEC's former provider of vote counting machines, as the poll body disqualified the company from participating in the bidding for the 2025 midterm automated elections to preserve the integrity of the electoral process, according to COMELEC Chairman George Erwin Garcia in November 2023. Further, DDU said that the recent indictment of a U.S. jury against former COMELEC Chairman Andres Bautista as Smartmatic executives for bribery and money laundering in the 2016 elections cast doubts on their credibility and integrity as an election service provider for the country. According to the U.S. Justice Department, a certain Roger Martinez, a founder of Venezuelan citizen and Florida resident who happened to be a co-founder of Smartmatic, and Jorge Vasquez and others cost at least $1 million in bribes to be paid to Bautista. DTU also underscored the role of the public school teachers in serving as election workers and upholding impartiality for democratic electoral process. DTU encourages all teachers, election workers, and the public to remain vigilant, as the sanctity of our democratic process depends on each of us, said DTU. President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. has moved the special non-working holiday marking Ninoy Aquino Day from August 21 to August 23, a Friday, to allow for a 4-day weekend intended to boost local tourism. Signed on Thursday, Proclamation number 665 sets the commemoration of the death of former Senator Benigno Ninoy Aquino Jr. 2 days after the date he was assassinated at what was then the Manila International Airport in 1983. President Marcos said the occasion was moved in order to provide for a longer weekend, thereby promoting domestic terrorism. But he also stressed that the historical significance of Ninoy Aquino Day is maintained even with the charge. The extended weekend becomes 4 days because August 26, a Monday, is also a regular non-working holiday, National Heroes Day. The murder of Aquino, an arch critic of the president's father, then President Ferdinand Marcos Sr., on August 31, 1983, was widely considered the beginning of the end for the dictatorship. Returning from U.S. exile, Aquino considered the top opposition figure who could challenge Marcos Sr., was shot dead shortly after being escorted out of his plane by government security agents. Public outcry and sustained protests triggered by his death climaxed 3 years later in the 1986 EDSA People Power Revolution before the upheaval that forced the Marcos family out of the country and installed Ninoy's widow Cory in power. To keep Angeles City safe, to keep this Angeles City free from the highly contagious African swine fever, the mayor ordered Thursday the establishment of livestock checkpoints along its borders. Mayor Carmelo Lazatin Jr. issued a memorandum tasking the tasking the city police, headed by Colonel Armando Mendoza Jr., and the City Traffic Development Office, headed by Francis Pangilinan, to immediately set up and man livestock checkpoints. Delivery trucks, particularly those carrying pigs, will be inspected. Trucks loaded with livestock from ASF affected areas like Bulacan and Patnagas will be barred from entering Angeles City. This preventive measure is to ensure that the city is free from African swine fever, because the health, safety, and livelihood of our citizens depend on this, a city government statement quoted Lazatin as saying. Lazatin said the city government is one with the Department of Agriculture in combating the rapid spread of ASF, as the department has already set up checkpoints across Luzon. The mayor asked all hog dealers to present pertinent certificates manifesting that the pigs they are bringing into the city are not affected by ASF. He said vaccination records from veterinarians and shipping permits must also be presented at the livestock checkpoints. Irish Calaguas, Lazatin's chief advisor, said the city government would be vigilant against the deadly African swine fever. Mayor Lazatin wants to be as vigilant as ever. Angeles is ASF free, and Mayor Lazatin wants to keep it that way, Calaguas said. Senator Bato de la Rosa is hoping that the Senate would not bow down its head to the policy that should it allow the entry of International Criminal Court drug war investigators into the Philippines and grant the issuance of an arrest warrant against him. As the chief of the Philippine National Police, at the height of the Duterte administration's brutal campaign against illegal drugs, de la Rosa is one of the people accused in the crimes against humanity complaint filed with the ICC due to former President Rodrigo Duterte's drug war. De la Rosa said he is hoping that the Senate would adopt a stand that would reflect the true identity of the Senate as the last bastion of democracy in the country. The Senate must stand as a separate and independent entity. The Senate must protect its status as a co-equal branch of government with other branches of government, the senator told reporters during an online press conference on Friday. But does this mean that he's hoping that the Senate will not allow his arrest if ICC issues the warrants? It's not that they won't allow my arrest. Just in case worse comes to worse, if Malacanan ultimately decides otherwise from what we are expecting, I hope that the Senate will not bow down its head to the executive branch of government. According to the top Coke senator, he has no plans of communicating these hopes with Senate President Francis G. Escudero, although he emphasized that he presumes the chamber's chief knows what to do. As Senate President, he has to protect the integrity of the institution. I am expecting it from him. But talking to him, getting his assurance, finding out the plan, I probably won't do that anymore, he said. I know he knows what he is doing, he added. De la Rosa reiterated that he is holding on to President Ferdinand Marcos Jr.'s words that he would not recognize the jurisdiction of ICC over the Philippines. I hold him responsible, being the chief executive of this government. I hold him responsible for everything, for every declaration regarding foreign policy matters that he has stated, he said. Why would I believe his people who are trying to subvert his policy? He asked. Talks about ICC arrest warrants getting issued soon have resurfaced after retired Supreme Court Justice Antonio Carpio said on Tuesday night that the ICC prosecutors' investigation of the Duterte drug war has reached a pivotal point. According to Carpio, the day of reckoning for ex-President Duterte and his allies is coming closer, citing reports that ICC arrest warrants will be issued sometime in September. And three former Philippine Military Academy cadets were found guilty over the 2019 hazing at death of then cadet 4th class Darwin Dormitorio, his brother confirmed on Friday. In a Fiverr message sent to Inquirer, Dormitorio's brother Dexter said the Baguio Regional Trial Court Branch 5 found Shalimar Impero and Felix Lumbach Jr. guilty of murder and hazing. The court has the court also found Julius Dena guilty of hazing his brother. Dexter added. Dexter said the family is grateful because justice was served. According to reports, Dorio suffered a series of maltreatments from his upperclassmen. He died on September 18, 2019, or a day after he was diagnosed with a urinary tract infection. Dormi, Dormitorio was no longer responsive when he was brought to the hospital, and he had bruises on different parts of his body. Medical personnel tried to relieve him, but he was later pronounced dead. It is now 4:12 in the afternoon, and Cool News at 4 will be right back. Welcome back to koolNews and more. Let's continue with the headlines from around the world. Israeli President Isaac Herzog on Thursday condemned a pogrom after a Jewish settler attack on the village in the occupied West Bank that the Palestinian Authority has said killed one Palestinian and wounded another. Mahmoud Abdel Qadr Sadda, age 23, was martyred, and a citizen was critically injured in the chest by settlers' bullets in the village of Jit, west of Nablus, a Palestinian health ministry statement said. The official Palestinian news agency Wafa, citing local sources, said armed colonists attacked the western part of the village, setting several vehicles ablaze. The Israeli military said dozens of Israeli civilians, some of them masked, entered Jit and set fire to vehicles and structures in the area, hurled rocks and Molotov cocktails. One Israeli was taken for questioning, said a military statement which did not confirm the Palestinian man's death. I strongly condemn this evening's pogrom in Samaria, Herzog wrote on X, formerly Twitter, using the name of the biblical, biblical province corresponding to the northern West Bank. This is an extreme minority that harms the law-abiding settler population and the settlement as a whole and the name and position of Israel in the world during a particularly sensitive and difficult period, he added. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu takes seriously the riots that took place this evening, according to a statement from his office. Those responsible for any criminal act will be caught and prosecuted, the statement said. Violence in the West Bank, a Palestinian territory occupied by Israel since 1967 and separated from the Gaza Strip by Israeli territory, has surged since the Gaza war started on October 7. Israeli settlement there, considered illegal under international law, has also hit new records. Netanyahu, head of the conservative Likud party, has governed Israel since December 2022 with the support of far-right formations advocating more Israeli settlements in the West Bank or even outright annexation. His right-wing finance minister Bezalel Smotrich, an architect of the upsurge in Israeli settlements in the West Bank, wrote on X that the attackers in Jit had nothing to do with the settlement and the settlers. They are criminals who must be dealt with by the law enforcement authorities with the full force of the law, he added. Since October 7, at least 630 Palestinians have been killed in violence with settlers or Israeli troops, according to the Palestinian authorities. At least 18 Israelis, including soldiers, have been killed in attacks involving Palestinians, according to official Israeli figures. Excluding annexed East Jerusalem, some 490,000 Israeli settlers live in the West Bank alongside roughly 3 million Palestinians. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky said Thursday that his country's troops had taken full control of Zutha, the largest Russian town to fall to Ukraine's forces since the start of their cross-border incursion more than a week ago. Although it had a pre-war population of only around 5,000 people, Zutha is the administrative center for the border area of Russia's Kursk region, and it's larger than any of the other towns or settlements that Ukraine states it has taken since the incursion began on August 6. Zelensky said Ukraine was setting up a military command office in Zutha, which suggests that Ukraine might plan to remain in the Kursk region long-term, or just signal Moscow that it may intend to do so. He didn't elaborate on what functions the office might handle, though he said earlier this week that Ukraine would be distributing humanitarian aid to Zutha residents. Russia didn't immediately respond to Zelensky's claims, but its defense ministry said earlier Thursday that Russian forces had blocked Ukraine attempts to take several other communities. The surprise Ukraine incursion has reframed the war and caused chaos in the Kursk region, leading to the evacuation of more than 120,000 civilians, according to Russian authorities, and the capture of at least 100 Russian troops, according to Kiev. Zelensky has said one of the reasons for the incursion was to protect neighboring Ukraine regions. The more Russian military presence is spread in the border regions, the closer peace and real security will be for our state. The Russian state must be responsible for what it has done, he said Tuesday. Russia has seen previous raids of its territory in the war, but the cruise incursion is notable for its size, speed, the reported involvement of battle-hardened Ukraine brigades, and the length of time they have stayed inside Russia. As many as 10,000 Ukraine troops are involved, according to Western military analysts. The incursion also marks the first time foreign troops have invaded and held Russian territory since Nazi Germany did in World War II. Although Russian military bloggers reported that Russian reserves sent to the Kursk region had slowed Ukraine advances, questions remain over whether the incursion might force Moscow to move troops to Kursk from frontline positions in eastern Ukraine, where they have made slow but steady advances this year. As Kyiv was trumpeting its gains in Kursk on Thursday, officials in the eastern Ukraine city of Pokrovsk, which had a pre-war population of about 60,000 people, warned civilians to evacuate ahead of rapidly approaching Russian troops, who were about 10 kilometers or 6 miles from the city's outskirts. If Russian troops capture Pokrovsk, where they have been trying to breach Ukrainian defenses for weeks, they could further advance toward their goal of capturing Ukraine's entire Donetsk region. White House National Security spokesman John Kirby said Thursday that Russia had rejoined some forces, including infantry units from Ukraine and Washington, that the troops, but that the U.S. didn't know how many troops were involved. However, a U.S. official speaking on condition of anonymity because of not being authorized to comment publicly said it doesn't appear that Russia has moved a sufficient number of armored pelotons or other types of combat power from the front line in Ukraine to Kursk, and that Moscow will need to ship more troops to repel Kyiv's forces. Asked Thursday if the Pentagon was considering limiting any support to Ukraine in light of the latest incursion, spokeswoman Sabina Shunk said it doesn't affect what the U.S. is sending, but that you have seen us modify and give different capabilities over time, and we reserve that right to continue to do that. Russian military bloggers reported that small Ukraine mechanized groups have continued to probe Russian defenses, and satellite images analyzed by the Associated Press on Thursday showed that a Ukraine drone attack on Russian air base damaged at least 2 hangars and other areas. Images taken Wednesday by Planet's BBC showed that 2 hangars at Borisovgladsk Air Base have been struck with a field of debris around both. It was not immediately clear what purpose the hangars served. There also appeared to be potential damage to 2 further aircraft at the base. Separately, at Savaspleka Air Base, one board mark could be seen just off the runway in images Wednesday, though there was no apparent damage to the fighter jets and other aircraft there. As of Thursday, the UK military claimed to be holding more than 80 towns and settlements in the Kursk region. Kursk acting governor Alexei Esmoranov ordered Thursday the evacuation of the Kushnokovo region, about 45 kilometers (28 miles) northwest of Sudzha. The order suggests Ukraine forces were gradually advancing toward the area. And finally, as we are running out of time, we will be quick here. Moon-sun brides extreme weather fuels Pakistan child marriages. As moon-sun rains were about to break over Pakistan, 14-year-old Shamila and her 13-year-old sister Amina were married off in exchange for money, a decision their parents made to help the family survive the threat of floods. I was happy to hear I was getting married. I thought my life would become easier, Shamila told AFP after her wedding to a man twice her age in hope of a more prosperous life. And that will be it for koolNews at 4. As always, you can get in touch with us at tvh.news.philippines@gmail.com. And we will be back with more headlines later with koolNews at 6 and koolNews Prime Time at 9. And soon we will be seen on TVH Network by Lamau Online Live that is returning soon. Until then, I'm Carlo. Good afternoon.